My name is Alex Tetteh, as he said. I'm from Ghana, and Ghana's Disability Forum. I'm also the president of the Center for Employment of Persons with Disabilities, and I'm the national chairman, Ghana Chamber of Entrepreneurs with Disabilities. When I heard of this topic, I say, what has digital accessibility got to do with men with disabilities? Yeah. Then I remembered a statement from my professor who said, who made a statement that we have politicians who are successful failures. It means that they are very good in their office, but their home is rotten. So it means that whatever we discuss, whatever we develop as policies, should reflect in our lives. So that is why we're discussing men with disabilities and how digital accessibility can improve on our lives. We've, over the years, discussed challenges and barriers facing women with disabilities. We've not discussed men with disabilities. In Ghana, we have what we call the girl child, so programs, policies for girl child, scholarships, and all that. Then we ask, who takes care of the boy child? And so it's important that men will discuss challenges facing us. It doesn't mean that the fact that we don't discuss doesn't mean that we don't face challenges. We face challenges. So here, because we're discussing men, I'm going to shout, when I shout Choboy, then you say, hey, Choboy, hey. Choboy. Hey. Oh, the response is, oh, Choboy. Yeah. Choboy. Yeah. Yes, we are men. Yeah. So I have a wonderful panel here to digest this topic. We're going to keep it very short because, you know, we men, we don't waste time, cry. We go at it, pam. All right. So I would... let me introduce myself, that I sit in the wheelchair. I wear blue suits with light blue shirts without a tie. I have glasses. I'm black, black shoe, blue wheelchair. All right. Thank you very much. So that is Alex Tetteh. You can call me Kojoh from Ghana. So let me go to my right and invite my brother, also Honorable Member of Parliament. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Standing here is a man in a pale skin and also with fair brown hair, though covered by a trademark hat, a Wilson hat, word brim hat. I am Overstone, Kondowe. I come from Malawi. I'm a member of the National Assembly. Previously, I worked in a number of institutions on disability programs. As an advocate, I landed into a job at State House, appointed as advisor to the state president. Also chairing the African Union for Persons with Albinism. For the matter of introduction, let me stop there and pass on the mic to the other presenters.
Okay.
All right, my name is Cobhams Asuquo. I'm a performing artist from Nigeria. I'm a black male wearing a pair of jeans and a pair of Snickers and a t-shirt, and I've got an easy jacket with a hoodie. I don't have my hoodie on. I have locks. My hair is styled to the back, and I'm wearing a pair of shades. I'm wearing shades, and I'm wearing a gold neck piece. Yeah, that really makes me sound like a musician, doesn't it? Yeah, so it's certainly a pleasure to be here. What I know how to do really is sing, but somehow I've been strong-armed into this, so I hope that, I know it's going to be fun, because my right to this is the fact that, you know, I'm a blind man, and naturally there are certain dynamics, if you will, associated with that status, and that's what we're here to talk about. So I'm definitely happy to share my experience. Thank you.
All right. So going straight into the topic, what are the barriers that are specific to men with disabilities? And so you're going to tell us the barrier, and then you're going to share your experience. So it's a double-sided question. I think I should go to my left first. So give us a barrier as a man, and then share your experience so that it becomes live with us. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm glad you came first to me and not the Honorable. The reason is, the Honorable is a man of wisdom, and I'm sure he's going to probably say what I would have said, and I'll be sitting here thinking, oh my gosh, how did I get here? So, Kojoh, thank you, I owe you one. But seriously, but seriously, I think that one of the biggest challenges that we face as men living with disability is first of all, I think from an African context, the fact that as a man, you are assumed to be, for all the right and wrong reasons, to be, I think a symbol of manliness, if you will, or manhood, is ability. And so, on the flip side of that, you are a man living with a disability. So there's a general notion, general assumption that it makes you less of a man. And this is attitudinal. This is, just something that's is buried in culture and social expectations. So so to answer the question more pointedly, I think one of the biggest barriers we face as men living with disability is the assumption by society that we are lesser men. And this is if you're a lazy person who doesn't like to do a lot of things, it can be a perk for you because it means it's your way out of a lot of things. But if you're someone who's ambitious and whose life is based on proving who you are, because you don't get as much of a leg up as just by virtue of your disability, then it becomes a huge challenge. So I use myself as a good example. There's so many things that I do. I started making music, for instance, at the age of 16, and one of the challenges I found when I would go into the studio is, just by virtue of my being a blind person, it was assumed that you don't work, make money, bring it to book a studio session, and a 16-year-old blind producer is who's going to make your music. It's like finding yourself, on the theater table and finding out that, your doctor is a trainee. For whatever reason, even if it is the best, graduating student or whatever, there's a sense of confidence that, knowing certain things sort of erodes. And one of those things is that for whatever reason, this person is incapable of playing the role because of a disability. Not necessarily because it is true, but because it is the perception that has been carried over the years. And so I find that was one thing I struggled with, And for me, one of the ways I had to do that, again, was in a typical African context, you had to be the man. So you had to work 5 times as hard as other men to show that you actually can be the man in the situation, whether it's a workplace situation, whether it's, technology situation, and that sort of thing. Unfortunately for me, I started out my life taking things apart and piecing them together. And I think maybe that was one thing that sort of helped me, along the way, because it meant that I generally was able to gather a lot of information. And again, don't forget that within the African context, if there's one thing that makes you a man, is you being able. And so when you have a lot of information and you're able to share or exhibit this information, albeit in a show-off way sometimes, it shows that you are able, and it sort of restores that status of being a man in a way. So I think, for me, one of the biggest barriers is attitudinal. It's that perception. And, I've experienced it, either as a business owner, where there's just a general assumption that you can't do this, which other men can do. And the primary reason you can't do it is because, you're living as a blind person. So it's very mental, it's very, socio-cultural based, I think.
Wow, let's put it together for him. So let me stay with you. So what do you think digital accessibility can be a solution to this challenge? Or should I go and come? Or
No, that's fine. That's
all
fine.
right.
Yeah, so I mean, it definitely, digital accessibility opens, you up to a vista of opportunities. Like I said, albeit show off, and I will talk more about this. There's I'm part of a session tomorrow on entertainment, and but many years ago, I had what today people will consider the level of a calculator, but it was one of the best computers that the person could afford at the time. I had a compact Presario that had like 64 MB of RAM. Those of you who know anything about computers know how useless that is these days. But I'm talking 2001 thereabout. It was an old Pentium computer. It was my baby. But what that thing did for me, I had, and I will talk more about this also tomorrow, I had a demo screen reader which timed out every 40 minutes. And I was using dial-up internet. So you can imagine I'm spending 17 to 20 minutes dialing up to connect and spending about 10 minutes to do my work and spending another 10 minutes restarting my computer. But what that did for me was it opened me, to a vista of opportunities. It gave me the ability to can. And when I say the ability to can, it gave me the ability to do it in a space and time when, first of all, I was assumed, like I said, naturally to be the guy who couldn't do it because he couldn't see. And here I am sitting, with a computer and, whatever backwater part of, and I'm suddenly the man. You know what I mean? I'm the guy who's on my SoundForge 4.0 editing voices and, putting reverbs in people's voices and pitch correcting people's voices and making them sound, which was pretty much the build up to my work as a music producer and as, a musician. But I think what it did was it instilled in me a sense of confidence that I could do something, that other people couldn't do, which, like I said, in that social cultural context of being the man that could do it, bolstered my confidence. But I think it also, restored the confidence of a lot of people who needed to know that there was more to, my being an able man than whatever, society sort of dictated. So I think for me that was really, one way that I think technology has helped and continues to help because, today, my house is on its way to being fully automated. And so I use a lot of AI and stuff like that. And like I said, we're a show of people. So if you're in my house and I'm like, Alexa, open the living room curtains or close it or turn on or turn off the AC and stuff like that. It's technology, but it's technology that's enabling me to do things, some of which I may be able to do by myself ordinarily, or some of which I may not be able to do by myself, that, sort of technology. But also I think that attitudinal change, that perception that you can now do it, is in very many parts, among other things, restored by technology.
All right. Thank you very much. That's great experience sharing. Honorable will be coming to you shortly. I think once you are honorable, we will be looking at how, as a man with disability, as you contest in the election, how that affected you as a man with disability. So be thinking about it. But where the first panelist talked about the assumption of society that we are less of a man, reminds me of when I wanted to marry. Saw a beautiful woman of my heart I want to marry, did all the things, did all the gestures, managed to convince the woman accepted, and then we went to the family, and then the family said, no, yes, we don't want this in our family. Yeah, so that is the thinking, that I cannot perform as a man. You understand? I cannot perform as a man. And currently in our society, every woman wants a built man. Okay? I mean, if you put women together, maybe young women, and you ask what nature of man do you want, they will never tell you somebody in the wheelchair. They will tell you a tall man, you see. So that perception has brought the thinking that men with disabilities are less man. So it means that we need to work, like you said, double harder to overcome that barrier. So, my Honorable, now the ball is in your court. How has that perception of society affected you right during your campaign to the time you won election, and even as you participate in Parliament? How is it? You share your personal experience, and what do you think technology can help you overcome that?
Thank you. When I had the topic, to me it was a new topic, and I found it very difficult, but I thought maybe that's the nature of the conference, where the facilitators and presenters have been just surprised with the topic. I had time to provide a dichotomy of the challenges for one gender and the other, but still I did not find enough stuff. But however, being a politician, a member of parliament, an advocate for some time, I still find this space very important, and underlying and linked and speaking to the main issues that are coming now and then, the issues of accessibility, and as well as the issues of digital technology. I still would like to contribute to the discussions related to the subject with us. As most of you have heard about the life of persons with albinism, in particular, because it said I should share my personal experience. I cannot share the experience of somebody who is a wheelchair user, but I might be very impactful if I share my own experience in the context of Africa, especially the sub-Saharan Africa. For a man to be known a man, you must work hard, and you must prove beyond doubts that you are able to get good education as well as to get a good job. This is a stereotype, and we cannot change it overnight. But the most big challenge that I've faced as a person with low vision emanating from albinism has been access to information. My schooling time, I had challenges because this digital revolution has come when it had already passed many stages in our education. To see on the board, it was difficult. To have large fonts, it was also a problem. To have magnifiers, it was also costly, looking at the standard of life average in the sub-Saharan region. To overcome this, of late, fortunately, when I was doing my first degree, I had the telescopes, which were very helpful. However, to put them on, you were looking very strange amongst and other learners, and people could have some interest to find out how do they work. So they were disturbing you quite a lot. But the purpose was that let me defend the manhood in me, that I'm a man, I'll be able to be a breadwinner and to feed my own family. I need to work hard still. Another challenge also faced is the issue of mobility. I will take two dimensions, Mr. Moderator. There's a social mobility as well as physical mobility. I have 2 minutes. I'll do that. For social, there's discrimination. Access to services is very limited. You've heard stories about killing of persons with albinism. In our country, 29 deaths and 169 attacks have been made. So most people would not go to access health facilities in fear of this, would not access justice in court in fear of this, would not access education in fear of this. I understand digital technology could come in with a solution. For example, telemedics. You could have doctors screening your skin right at home, but because of other constraints in terms of finances, probably attitude, policy, and other instruments, we are left out of this. Lastly, because the 1 minute I can finish, is access to security. The other challenge that I've faced during this time, 2014, 2019, as people were being killed, there were some breakthroughs in the use of GPS trackers, having some digital technologies which were mounted on persons with albinism. Almost 10,000 of them were bought. These were able to be used to communicate the side and the police side for quick response and as well as to address the challenges. Lastly, it's an issue to mobility. When you are a man, you want to prove it. Yeah, for example, if you have a car, you must use it yourself. You don't want to use somebody or a woman driving you. We are in a masculine society. A man must prove. So the difficulty with low vision, you need somebody to assist you. However, in my personal life, I have had the experience of using tinted lasers. Sometimes I also use biotic telescopes, which are mounted over the usual medical glasses. However, I know with the discussion which is here, we'll make some breakthrough with some digital technologies which may also assist that men with disability, they should be men in society and they should be caught by that case when they're assisted in that manner. I think answering your question on politics, it was really difficult, and the tactics is that you need to have, don't talk about your disability when you're doing that campaign. It's very hectic, don't talk about it. People will be looking, should not sympathize with you, but you need to show the merit, why you need the office, why you need to be elected. Also, create more networks, social networks. Most persons with disability, they are not economically empowered in terms of income. So if you have got a social capital, these are the people who can learn out and fetch resources aiding you in the campaign. I think I should stop there. Otherwise, having a space like a lay opportunity like this, you can speak until sunset, if the sun has not yet set. Thank you.
No, interesting. In fact, the political aspect we want to hear more, but anyway, we'll come back. Because I wanted to save some time so the audience, because I could see the face of the men seated here itching and wanted to contribute. But let me come back to you, my honorable friend. You are today called honorable.
There's only one honorable on this stage, Alex. Don't put me in trouble.
I think I have the permission from him. Yes, so I wanted to find out, have you taken the time or been able to mentor other men with disabilities to be like you or be more than you, or also overcome the challenges that you've gone through and how you've been able to overcome, able to find solutions to them?
Okay, so I think first of all, Alex, let me preface this by saying that as I think that one of the responsibilities that naturally falls on you, being a pioneer of something of interest in your space. So, for instance, we didn't really have many blind, or not that I knew of any, blind producer of note in my space when I started. I think one of the responsibilities that falls on you quite naturally is the fact that it sort of behooves you to share your experience. So first of all, the fact that you can do it and that you can record some measure of success means that there are a number of young people who probably, because I mean, let's face it, there's a certain level of ambition and foolishness that makes you try something out that you're not sure what the end result will be, because you don't have the resources or the facilities to get you there, but you're foolish enough to try it anyway, and you're lucky enough to be successful. What that does is you begin to build the science around how to standardize some of your practices and how to help people who are either ambitious or foolish or both like you to want to follow your footsteps. And then what happens is you then sort of begin to standardize the practice, and you begin to help people understand, what possible pitfalls. I mean, naturally, not everyone's experience will be the same, but you have a position of advantage to help people understand, the pitfalls and how to avoid them, and how to, what worked for you and all of that. So I'm just saying all of this to say, it's a natural responsibility, I think, unless for whatever reason you choose not to heed to it, to inspire and mentor directly, but inspire in general, not only men living with disabilities, but also people in your community, because what happens is you're able to create a softer landing than you may have experienced for these people who come after you. So yes, I have directly or indirectly sort of engaged in this, so one of the things, but this is speaking more generally now as opposed to men with disabilities, because to be honest with you, Alex, I can't say to you that I've singled out men and said, this is what it means to be a man with this. I'm concerned, and I advocate for the rights of persons with disabilities in general. And as a result, I've worked closely with a number of organizations. I'll tell you an interesting story. There's this one organization that I've been a donor for some time, and I just work with them generally. They're called the Niger Wives Braille Book Production Center. And what these guys did was, Braille books at a point in time, math textbooks, were being sold for about 315 naira. So let's say that's about maybe 30, 60, let's say maybe roughly about 60 shillings, or let's just say 60 Kenyan shillings. But the same Braille, the same books in Braille were actually being sold on thermoform paper for about 10,000 naira, which is about 2,000 shillings. And what this organization did, Niger Braille Book Production Center, was they came in and they would collect AGM papers, so papers that that were used for annual general meetings, just because of the thickness, and they got a Braille embosser, and they would Braille math textbooks on this. So you, as a sighted person, you're looking at these textbooks, and you're actually seeing, people's annual general, reports and things like that. But as a blind person, I'm doing calculus and God knows whatever else on it. But they were able to crash the price of Braille textbooks from 10,000 naira to 350 naira. It's just unbelievable. Now, obviously when you connect with people like that, you work with them to help, make such causes work. And then obviously you're mentoring, you're giving speeches, you're connecting, one-on-one with, a number of young people who want to know how you work with screen readers when you're creating music, using DAWs, digital audio workstations like Pro Tools and Logic Pro and all of that, and so I'm able to share a lot of insight in terms of the things that I do with sound engineers in my studio and the things that I'm able to do by myself. So I have sort of, by my experience, become a wealth of information, or built a wealth of information that I'm able to share, with budding producers and, other musicians. So I think for me, that's sort of one way that, I directly impact. But like I also mentioned, I work with organizations like the Anglo-Nigerian Welfare Association for the Blind in Nigeria, and the Niger Wives Braille Book Production Center, just sort of to enable these people, make a better life. Because there's a lot of conversation around, and I'll wrap up in less than 30. There's a lot of conversation around how, Cobhams in Nigeria can do this and do that. And what I always say to them is, there's thousands of Cobhams out there, and all they need is the right technology and support and the right attitude and all of that. So I think I'm saying that also to say that one of the ways that I continue to inspire is how and mentor is how I live my life, and how my life sort of is a story to say, look, if I can do it, there are people who just like me can do it as well. So I think and that makes me sort of conscious and responsible in terms of, how I live my life as a public person in the Nigerian space, and as a producer. I said I'll round up in 30. I'm breaking that.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And I think that you should continue to share. You've gone through these experiences not by default. And I think that God has put you in this position to be able to help others. And so not only Nigeria, but stretch hands also to Ghana.
Absolutely. I'm in love with Ghana, just so you know.
Yes, yes. All right, so we have just 5 minutes. I want to take from the audience. I want us to talk about sexuality, how it affects men with disabilities. I'll come back to you, my panel, to give us the way forward as men with disabilities. You're going to say it just in 1 minute. But to the public, men with disabilities, are you here? Hey, Aden Musurana. Sexuality is there no point where, as a man with disabilities, you face the challenge of sexuality? I hope you understand the question. I think you do, just that the topic. Anyways, if my panel, sorry, do I have any hand? Okay, yes, my brother, thank you. Please give him the mic.
My name is Kesa Princely from Cameroon. Well, I think that it's a very sensitive topic, an issue that as men with disability we go through every day. I will share this very little experience.
Please, in 1 minute.
Yes,
Okay.
even in less than if possible.
Okay.
While in the university, we are studying journalism and mass communication. I had a friend who visited me, female, we were discussing, and at one point she was wondering how persons with disabilities make love when they don't see. I mean, persons with visual impairment, I want to say. And I asked her just one question. Have you been in a relationship? Yes. Do you make love? Yes. How do you make love when the light is off? And that was the answer to our question. So I said this to say that men are sexually active, men with disabilities, and we need this to increase Africa's population because Africa needs that market to emerge. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, my friend from Cameroon. Okay, let's take the last one from the, yes.
Thank you, moderator. I'm Bernard, a disability inclusion facilitator and a man with a disability.
Sure.
I thought that the topic was for men alone, but it has turned to be that it is for all. Ideally, when you talk about sexuality, it is a very enticing topic, more so to person with disability, because I agree with my brother there that even to find a partner is very hard, and you have to convince so many ladies before you get the right one. And that this has to come handy with economic power. You must to be having something in the pocket.
Sure.
But when it comes to fulfilling your conjugal right, ideally there is this notion.
I didn't get that part.
Conjugal right.
What is that?
Having sex with your partner.
Be open.
There's this belief that maybe as a man you need to be more effective and efficient in many styles of playing the sex.
Okay.
But when you have a disability, you might be limited to some of these styles in quotes. And so you may find that your partner may not be very pleasant about how you go about it unless you have a conversation around this. And so as a man with a disability, you get to find that you feel demoralized because maybe you can only be able to do it or to play sex using one style. Thank you very much.
Is it a perceived or is the fact?
To some extent, it's perception, but to some extent, it's reality because of the disability you have. Thank you.
All right, let's give it out for him. Let's give it out for him. Thank you very much. Oh, okay. My great lawyer want to contribute.
No, thank you, sir.
I'm sure the moderator will give us a sure. Okay.
I just beg to respectfully differ from the previous comment.
Okay.
As we said earlier in the previous panel, there is no such thing as a special need, and that applies precisely to the exercise of making love as well. So let's not consider any kind of disability as requiring a specific kind of or a special kind of interaction. So I just want to underline that I differ from the previous comment that was given. Thank you.
Okay, so what is your view on the topic?
My view is that there might be specific measures, but not in any way. Nobody's need is special compared to others.
Okay, I accept that. Because I think that, yes. All right, so that is all. So let me come back to my panel. So what is the way forward for men? What is the future for men with disabilities? 30 seconds. Let me come to my right first, Honorable. The proper Honorable. Anyway.
Thank you. Though you started another hot discussion. I think that one calls for a full day discussion. Anyway, as my brother, a lawyer, said, we are all equals, and the challenges that we face, even those who in court, able-bodied, they also face similar challenges. If there's an issue of sexuality, there are also those problems with the other grouping. What is a core is that for us, we need to be confident, very determined, and we should not put the sky as being a limit. There'll be barriers. Let's challenge the barriers. Let's turn out the odds. Let's be models of the change that we want in society. Thank you.
Thank you. So, to my left.
Okay, so in wrapping up, Alex, I want to say that one thing I've enjoyed generally so far about this conference is the attention and just the value of assistive technology and as a way to improving accessibility. And I think what it does ultimately is it creates a sense of empowerment, both for the user and for the people who see you use it and whose services you're able to meet. And I think that, with assistive technology and with improved, levels of accessibility comes all kinds of empowerment, financial empowerment, just being able to do things that sort of within the, African socio-cultural context puts you more in the position of being a man and, sort of helps you function. And so I think that, the conversations around assistive technology and accessibility can never be too much. And the improvements, that are made, and the milestones, in themselves help to improve the positions of men living with disability and perhaps rank them as equally. I think also that we should continue to advocate for change in attitudes, change in perceptions, change in, notions and concepts that are around men in general. Even as we consider equality, gender equality, but also as we consider, equality, for persons living with disability. And I think the last thing I want to say is, as we're empowered and as we do more, the perception of disability begins to fade. I've noticed that when you meet with people who don't understand the concept of, being able to do things regardless of your disability, and as they find that you're able to function like anyone else, disability being sort of a prerequisite for what you can or cannot do begins to fly out the window, and you're considered a lot more able than you're considered disabled. So I think those conversations around accessibility and assistive technology needs to continue to happen. I think that we need to continue to change notions, perspectives, even as we do in this space and as we do in our daily lives. And yeah, I think we'll be considered better men, hopefully.
Thank you very much. And I think that you will agree with me that this topic is not exhaustive yet. We'll continue to discuss it, even at our hotels, and as we go home, we'll discuss and find solutions to it. On this note, I would like to thank my panel for a wonderful comments, and also you, the audience. Thank you so much for your cooperation.
So hold on one moment, Cobhams. So I'm totally guilty for coming up with Men with Disabilities panel. So, and when I told Esther we need to have a panel on men with disabilities, she had no idea what are they going to talk about. I had no idea. So thank you so much. It's been one of my best, and I'll tell you why. About 10 years ago, I was here visiting, and I met a director at Kenya National Library Services. I was trying to build a library for my village. And he said to me, Irene, there are so many programs for girls, and our young men are dying in the village. And I'll tell you this, in the last 10 years, I come every time I go to my village. I speak to women who are burying their sons all the time due to alcoholism and all that. But what you find is a lot of programs on girls. Then the question is, what is happening to our boys, to our women? So with this panel, I'm sure most of you have never heard of anything like this. We wanted to make sure that the advancements that have been made by men with disabilities do not disappear. We want to make sure they also have a platform to discuss everything they want to discuss. Thank you so much for making this worthwhile. Thank you.